When each member states their name, also please state whether there is anyone in the room with you during the meeting, which is required under the right to know law. My wife is so roll call. Kathleen DeWolf,
Present.
Fran Newton.
Present, and Dave Toth
Oh,
is
we lost
also in the
Fran.
room.
Okay. Alan Silly,
Present.
Jamie Lyford.
Present.
Well, there's the Board of Selectmen. Who else is present?
Pat Tucker.
David Roll.
Charlie Smith.
Thank you.
Steve Holwick and Craig Moore.
Okay. As we start the agenda, we'll do Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
Out by the cash register.
and to the republic for which it stands,
On the file cabinet.
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The flag there, I saw it.
Okay. First up is approval of minutes from March 16th, 2020.
I'll make the motion. We accept the the minutes as presented.
I'll second that.
No, she's back.
Who's back?
Okay.
We
We thought
lost
you-
you. We lost your audio.
You did?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
We missed the pledge.
Okay.
Okay.
Roll call. Do I hear a second?
I already seconded
Second
it.
it. Fine. Roll call. Alan Silly.
Motion to accept.
Jamie Lyford.
Accept.
Kathleen DeWolf.
Accept.
Fran Newton.
Accept.
Eli Badger accepts. On to new business. Ashland Deputy Town Clerk, Tax Collector appointment. Charlie?
Well, Patsy's also here to talk about it, but I guess I would say after our last meeting, Patsy posted to the town website, posted in the Daily Sun. We've had it out there over a week and received one applicant,
And the applicant was?
Tracy Tucker.
I have some comments I'd like to share, especially with the two new board members. Eli?
I recognize Kathleen DeWolf.
Okay. This is a statutory appointment of a deputy town clerk tax collector per RSA 41:38, where the town clerk tax collector appoints the deputy with the approval of the BOS. Once appointed, and although considered a town employee, no oversight of the position is conducted by the BOS or the town manager. The deputy answers only to and is subordinate to the town clerk tax collector. To have a family member appointed to this position is in direct conflict with the Town of Ashland Personnel Policy, page 8, section 14, paragraph 1, bullet point number 1, employment of relatives. As the situation occurring now with COVID-19, having two members of the household, can't read my writing here, sharing the same basic duties is problematic. Duties must be separate to ensure backup and continuity. We have to be accountable to the residents to follow duly voted on town policy. This is my personal opinion. I do not feel this is emergency. All spring workshops to facilitate the process of educating the deputy town clerk tax collectors and any other newly elected town clerks and/or tax collectors has been canceled until further notice. I make the motion to hold the position open until a candidate is found that satisfies the town policy.
Do I hear a second?
Jamie, second.
Is there any further discussion?
We're voting tonight on accepting the CBA, which also highlights,
I thought you made a motion, Kathleen.
I did, for the discussion.
Okay, but then you started talking about
Yeah, the
CBA.
CBA that going forward, we need to have our CBA and our town policy, which is policy, not management. This is policy decisions. That we have to be accountable to the public, for the people who vote for us in this office. We need to be transparent. And if this has to be postponed for another month or so, I feel that we should do that.
The motion was to hold the position open. What was after that? Until when?
A candidate is found that satisfies the town policy. And I emphasize the word policy.
Is there any further discussion? My question is, what if there is no candidate that's available, what if there is no other candidate except for Ms. Tucker?
I would say efforts would have to make to widen the field in town, to ask more people, to put out more feelers. Right now, people who don't read the website do not know it's available. Each of us select board members could put out information. But it is Patsy's, Patsy brings the appointment forward to us for approval.
That's right.
But since we're at a standstill right now, and if anything happens within the Tucker household, we have no backup.
Can we amend the motion to just leave it open for a month pending further discussion? We'll know a lot more about COVID and what's going to happen in New Hampshire at that time, and we can reevaluate based on what Kathleen has said in terms of the training. There's no rush, and maybe we just hold it open for a month, continue to keep it posted, but just have further discussion in a month.
I'll agree to that.
Let's take a look at the calendar, and that is going to put it, if we
Our May meeting,
that will put it into our main, it should put it into our May meeting, which would be on the 4th of May.
That would be suitable.
amend the motion. How do we do this? Do we amend the motion?
I would amend the motion.
So what did Fran?
I said to just hold it open, let's now say until May 4th, for further discussion.
Okay. So we have to have a second on the amended motion? I think we do.
Yes.
I'll second. Is there any further discussion of the new proposal?
Jamie Lyford has some comments.
Okay, that's fine. I can't see him.
That's okay. I'm kind of over in the corner.
Oh, I could do
Okay.
this. It could be my job.
I guess my only thing with it is a relative overseeing a relative. And then postponing it to the 4th is fine, but it still doesn't change the policy that the town has. So delaying it till the 4th doesn't change any of the issues we have.
We can hold it open and revisit it on the 4th.
We can, but the town policy is not going to
That's-
change before the
that's-
4th, so it doesn't do any good to.
I agree with you. But I'm willing to hold it open for another month.
Holding it open's fine, but it's not gonna change that they're still relatives and that goes against the policy.
And we can restate that on the floor.
And it will also give us time to see if there's anybody else that's going to step up. So,
Okay, so what's next? We take a vote on the motion?
Well,
If we're done with discussion?
We need a lazy Susan.
I would like to, I don't have my personnel policy right in
I do.
front of me.
I do.
But isn't there part of that that says, and if we don't find a qualified candidate, we can make an exception?
Yes.
Mhm.
As long, okay, I'll read the section that I had in my motion, not in my motion, I'm sorry, in my statement. Employees who are related by blood, marriage, or law, or become involved in intimate personal relationships may continue employment as long as there is not a direct or indirect supervisor subordinate relationship between such employees within a department / division.
Okay, that,
There's nobody else the deputy can be subordinate to or be directed towards other than the town clerk tax collector. The town manager does not fit into that equation because this is a statutory appointment,
mhm.
not just an appointment to a committee or a commission.
Okay, I would agree with that. So the motion before us is to hold the position open, hold the discussion open until May 4th. That is what we're voting on?
I'm sorry, I see what you were. No immediate relative, oh, I'm sorry, no, I take that back, because it states the hiring authority shall be employed by the town unless no other qualified person applies for this vacant position. But like I said, this is a statutory, this is defined by statutory RSA. And there's only one person involved, and that would be the town clerk tax collector.
Charlie, have we asked for a legal opinion?
Yeah, because I mean, I guess I'm confused myself. Whereas if is it statute or are we going by personnel policy?
Well, it's statute defines who makes the appointment
Yeah,
and who approves.
yeah. I
But
mean, when
that
we
being-
talked to
yeah.
legal last time, we basically told that the oversight is by the town clerk. After you release
Yep.
the appointment, the oversight's by the clerk.
That's right.
And removal falls under guidelines between the clerk, and if you don't agree with the clerk, then you take it to Superior Court.
Mhm. State government, maybe it's time to clean up this or revisit this statute, but right now, that's not within our purview.
Yep.
This
This
is
is what we have to deal with right
what we
now.
have to deal with. This is the personnel policy is also what we have to deal with. I think it's a bad precedent that we stop monkeying around, to put it in plain speak, with trying to accommodate somebody to a position that is right now is not an emergency.
By law, I have to have a deputy.
Town,
The town
The
clerk
co-
tax collector shall have a deputy.
only the town tax collector.
No.
No, that is
If
shall,
it
is
is
combined,
If it is a combined position, it's shall.
then taxi.
Please, one person at a time.
I just wanted to let you know that the town clerk tax collector combined position shall have a deputy.
Are there any other points of discussion here? Alan?
I have one, but I'm not going to share it.
Fran?
nope. Again, I think, just another month to keep this open, give us a little more time to ponder our options. including our policy, would be beneficial. Yes, we shall have this appointment, but it doesn't say immediately. So I think we can make this happen when we've had some more time to ponder our position.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Mr. Silly,
Nay.
Mr. Lyford,
Aye.
Ms. DeWolf,
Aye.
Ms. Newton,
Aye.
Mr. Badger votes aye.
I have a couple of things to take, that I'd like to take care of, okay?
Yeah. Pat Tucker has a couple other things for the Board of Selectmen.
Okay,
Ask him to speak.
Okay, we have a,
I'll grant you permission to speak, Mrs. Tucker.
thank you. We have, the campers in the campground either have to be taxed or registered, okay? And we have one camper who is, at this time cannot, and as of April 1st, okay? And it cannot get to the DMV. They live in Massachusetts, and they can't get to get their vehicle, their camper registered. So my assessor says that it's up to the selectmen whether or not they want to waive that. So I guess
Wait, what?
the
April 1st deadline.
they don't have it registered, so it won't be taxed or registered for the first billing.
Given what's going on in Massachusetts, I think that's more than fair to give them some time.
That's what you're not asking to waive it completely, just to
Just postpone
postpone the date.
It will not be taxed for the first issue. And it will not be taxed as the second issue if in fact she gets me a registration. If the person does not get me a registration, then we'll come back to you and say they negated on what they said they would do.
Okay, my question for this is she going to be taxed for the April end, or is she going to be taxed for the first and the second together?
No, we get two bills. We get two bills, and the first tax bill would be without having an assessment. The first tax bill would be without, if you folks vote to waive the registration for this time, because she just didn't get it done. And then it will go through without being assessed or registered for the first billing.
Until when? What is the first section?
Well, and then if the person does get the registration, then it won't be taxed at all. But if she doesn't follow through and get her registration in a timely fashion, then I would bring it back to the assessors and say, hey, listen, she didn't give us the registration like she said she was going to, and so they'll tax her for second issue.
What, is this a new camper?
No.
What has she
She
done
just-
before?
She bought it from her boyfriend. So
Have you had a conversation with her?
She now has the title to it.
Have you had a conversation with her?
I emailed her. We emailed back and forth, and that's what I was reading was, well, the chaos is limited and accessional customers, no, what did she say? I told her it needs to be registered by April every year, or the unit would be taxed. And she wants to know if it would be forgiven right now because she can't get to the DMV.
Well, nobody can get to the DMV.
Right.
Well, that's not true, but
Oh,
I'm doing registrations daily.
no, I mean physically to a DMV office, and we're,
But anyway, so I'm just asking you guys to waive the deadline April 1st now, so I can tell the assessor not to tax him.
Well, things are worse in Massachusetts, so I think I'd be willing to give her some time.
Okay, do you have a motion to waive it right now? That I can say that you guys,
I'll make a motion to waive it.
Do I hear a second?
Second, May Allen.
Wait, what's the motion, Patsy? Waiver for what?
to waive the registration fee.
When-
Waive the
April 1st.
deadline of April 1st for the registration.
for a camper?
Mhm.
All right.
So what do they have to do? Do they have to register, like they can put it on the back of a vehicle and tow it out?
I just need to get we need to get a copy of the registration. Yep. So campers in New Hampshire are either registered or taxed.
Tax, I'm guessing it doesn't leave the campground.
Well, this doesn't leave the campground either.
Either way,
Registered, it doesn't leave the campground either.
Yeah.
But that's their options. They can either register it or it's taxed.
The campground is closed, and we don't think it's going to open, by the way, on May 1st.
okay. Have we had enough discussion on this?
We could have a torrent of these. I shouldn't say torrent.
No, because most of them don't register them. Most of them are taxed, and those that are not taxed do send us the registration. We have copies of their current registration.
Is it a New Hampshire registration?
Doesn't have to be, just has to. This a particular person who lives in Massachusetts.
Okay. So it's basically a clerical item?
Yeah, the assessor wants to know. The assessor told me that the selectmen have to make that waiver decision.
It's not a matter of we make any money on it unless they tax it.
That is correct.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Well, this is like, I like to have the information before we have a meeting because I don't understand how this works.
Well, I got one more thing that you won't like either, so, but if we can vote on that.
Since there's no further discussion, roll call vote. Mr. Silly,
Yes.
Mr. Lyford,
Yes.
Ms. DeWolf,
Yes.
Mrs. Newton,
Yes.
Mr. Badger says yes. It passes.
Chairman Badger, I have one more thing. This is the time frame when I usually come before the board with a list of deeds that people up for tax deeding.
Yes.
May 27th would have been my deadline, my tax deeding date. I am asking you to do a blanket deed waiver at this time. And all the people, the tax liens would remain a priority lien and they would accrue interest as they go along. But at this time, I'd just like to see that ask if you would do a blanket deed waiver for the people on the list. I can put the list in your box so you can see it after, whatever.
Yeah.
And because the timing's not good right now. It's just not good.
Patsy, you have always come to us with these deed waivers, and you've always had explanation for everybody on your list and have negotiated deals with people. And I have no reason to believe that you're not doing the same now. And I'm more than happy to postpone this until things are a little less crazy. I'm willing to give that blanket approval.
I mean, I will be sending out letters to these people that this has happened.
Yeah.
And that they're still responsible for paying their bill and everything, but at this time, so.
What's the Department of Revenue done? Have they extended deadlines for everything? Or-
They don't have anything to do with this.
Oh,
kind of
they
stuff.
don't have any
No.
of this stuff, so.
This is all town-based. When you're deeding it's 2 years. It's 2 years and a day after the lien, and that day falls on May 27th for the 2018.
Oh, it's not a standard date?
No.
Oh,
Everybody, all tax collectors do it at different times.
okay, see, I didn't know
Yeah.
that, so.
Yeah. So I guess I'm looking for a motion that, yes, a blanket waiver, deed waiver at this time.
Now,
I'll make that motion.
Waiver? Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, it's just you're not going to, the town's not going to take the property.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I want to
Yeah.
make sure I understood
Yeah.
that correctly.
And like I said, interest still, it's the
It-
tax.
Interest accrues.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
anybody watching, so they understand, so they don't think we're giving something to somebody. Somebody's
No.
giving.
No, it's still 18%.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
14%, 12% went
we
down.
ran into this
Interest.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were giving
We run
somebody,
into it every year.
Mm-hmm.
No, we're not giving anybody anything. They
No.
still owe it.
Okay. I've heard the motion
Mhm.
made by Fran Newton. Do I hear a
I'll second
second?
it. I'll second.
Mr. Wolf seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Silly, how do
Yeah.
you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Lyford,
Yes.
Ms. DeWolf,
Yes,
Ms. Newton,
Yes,
Mr. Badger says yes.
Thank you. I just have one more thing because I'm not going to.
But you've already said you only had one more thing.
I know. Okay, there are boxes and boxes of Northern Pass materials upstairs, and I want
You
to know
still
if we have
have those?
permission to dispose of them.
did you
Uh,
take the bind?
We should take everything out of the binders
Okay,
and,
I can throw. We can throw.
Maybe keep the Ashland one.
Okay,
I think that
Keep
it
the
should be
Ashland one.
marked. Wait a minute, I don't think it's even in with rest of them. I think it's with the Conservation Commission on top of that
all
file
right. Then I
cabinet.
wouldn't. I'm just gonna. look
Yeah,
at the box or
we
something.
took, I believe it's still up on
Okay.
top of that. It
All
was removed.
Do we have a shredding service?
Do we know? No, the guys take it down to the dump.
Okay.
Thank you.
You know,
I don't think there's anything confidential in it, so.
No.
No.
What is that, 6 boxes worth of
Yeah.
that waste,
Yeah.
if not more?
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
Okay, that takes care of the tax collector. We have police department acceptance of a donation. Dave?
I will.
Howdy. So I approached Meredith Village Savings Bank to try to assist. We've been borrowing an AED from the fire department,
Could you please tell everybody what an AED is?
automated defibrillator, automated electronic.
Electronic defibrillator.
So I think it's pretty important that we have one in our cruisers because we're often the first ones on scene at night when the per diem guys aren't here. And so we approached the fire department to borrow one. We have one off of one of their rigs right now that we're using to put in our duty rig that's on the road in case we need that, because like I said, we're usually the first ones there at nighttime anyway. And so we're out of the grant season for that kind of stuff right now, but there is a state bid that goes on through June. And
Mardine Badger has joined the conference in my room.
Okay.
Okay, Mr.
Welcome, Marlene.
So I had approached Meredith Village Savings Bank because Joe White had told me a while back that they do sometimes have some money available on kind of, I don't want to call it an emergency basis, but on a basis that's kind of outside of their timeline for grants.
Yep.
And I was hoping to get a portion of the funds and then use some out of our budget to be able to purchase this AED before we lose this state funding. Because the state funding bid is right around half price for these things, well, slightly over half price. So it's a significant savings, and I didn't want to lose that. So I was hoping they would come forward with a little bit of money to help us out. Jill, working her magic, was able to come up with the full amount for us. So she presented me with a check last week for the full amount of $740 for the AED that we were looking at getting. So I'm looking for a motion to accept those funds first off from the bank, and then also to allow me to use those funds to purchase the AED through the state bid.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Oh, go ahead, Kathleen. I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
Our thanks to Jill and to Meredith Village Savings Bank.
How much was that? Well-
740,
$740?
correct.
So there is a motion on the floor to accept a $740 donation by Meredith Village Savings Bank for a defibrillator.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Silly,
Yes.
Mr. Lyford,
Yes.
Ms. DeWolf,
Yes.
Ms. Newton.
Yes.
Mr. Badger says yes.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
In the future, make sure you always define your acronyms so people know. I knew it was a defibrillator, but didn't know what the A&E was.
It's an automated external defibrillator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if I said automated
So,
electronic.
so you put it in parentheses,
Yeah.
spell it out. Because
Yeah.
I the committee.
She thought it was Ashland Electric.
Yeah, well, at first I go, what's that?
Fair enough, yeah, I didn't think of that.
You know,
Oh, that's
for
shocking.
reference, a lot of
She's
people.
like,
know this.
AD.
Yeah.
No way. Buying AD.
Yeah, when you start throwing a lot of acronyms around, you always will find people that have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. So just get what
No.
Yeah.
Moving on. The next item on the list,
Sharps taught us that last time on my minutes.
What's that?
Write it
Yeah, write it out,
Write
yeah.
it out.
the Ashland Union Employee Collective Bargaining Agreement. Mr.
Yeah, we did
Smith,
it. We collectively speaking, me, Kathleen, and Eli Badger, over the course of probably, gosh, what do you think, Kathleen? 3 to 4 months.
3 months,
Three
yeah,
months,
three and a half,
months.
yeah,
We
with gritted teeth.
back and forth with negotiations about all of these articles in the collective bargain agreement, and both sides agreed upon what you guys see before you. The appropriation or the fiscal impact was sent to town meeting, which I think was about 17,000 for this year, and
that's the difference.
that number is it's the total increase in wages and insurance differences, FICA, Medicare, retirement. It's based off of a 1% wage schedule increase that the employees would have effective April 1st, and then they get a 3% increase on their anniversary date. Employees now will be paying 10% of the insurance premium based off of which plan that they're enrolled in, whether it be single, two-person, or a family plan. And that's, from a fiscal standpoint, that's it. I guess you could also say in there for fiscal is we changed the time off provision, and now when employees start, they earn time over the course of the year. What else? Well,
The wage matrix has been,
1% increase. Now all of our departments are on call. DPW employees will receive an on-call pay of $25 at the discretion of the DPW director for any snow emergencies. We increased the detail for PD. I think it went from $40 to $50, and they asked that PD staff get first offer on the
Openings,
openings
for
of
the-
any
for
type of
detail.
detail that
Mhm.
might be there. That's about it. I think legal cleared up some FMLA legal stuff.
Yes. So it should be, it's up to date with all, I don't want to say statutory, but everything is compliant with the law,
Mhm.
labor law.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, it's more compliant with, I think, the disability determination, right? I think that's what council changed. Remember quickly.
It's been reviewed by legal.
Legal,
Have we gotten the union's revised copy back yet?
Yes.
That's what we have.
That's what you have. Yeah. Union.
All of- With all of the spelling errors and commas taken care of?
And the town administrator now has been replaced by town manager.
Mhm.
Okay,
So it reflects
Yep.
that status.
Union employees voted on this prior, and I actually talked to the union today. We're just waiting for signatures.
Okay.
okay.
We've already put things in motions to get it going, I guess you could say.
So
Does,
what do you need from us? A motion to approve it, to
we
accept
need
it?
an motion.
Motion and if at least three signatures.
Okay. I'll make a motion to accept it.
I'll second it.
It has been moved by Fran Newton, seconded by Kathleen DeWolf. Any further discussion?
I have a comment, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Silly.
The only issue that I have with this contract is that wages and compensation are based on percentages. And as you know, I'm hardly ever in favor of that. I'm just going to make that comment known.
Okay. Are there any other comments? Any further discussion? If not, roll call vote. Mr. Silly,
I'm going to abstain.
Mr. Lyford,
Aye.
Ms. DeWolf,
Aye.
Ms. Newton,
Aye.
Mr. Badger also says aye. Motion carries. I'll be in tomorrow to sign off.
So we can get that done, and the other piece of paperwork that you need signatures
Yeah, the MS 232. Or you can sign it here tonight.
tonight.
Do you need just 3 signatures on that as well, Charlie?
Yeah, and Eli signed that before. The 232, Fran, is what was approved for town vote that we send to DRA, or DRA, excuse me, asks us to sign off on.
Okay.
Old business. Everybody's staring at everybody else? Okay. I see a hand over here.
No,
No, it's not under old business. I was waiting for the next topic.
Seeing nobody wants to discuss any old business. Select board items.
My item is on our next meeting on April 6th that we interview and go forward with the appointment of the Scribner trustees. It's very important this time. These new appointees need to know the state of the trust so they can start planning going forward. And I'm sure it's going to be an eye-opener to all of us when we see how the stock market affected this trust.
Do you want to interview them?
Well, that is what's on the application. How
That's
would-
our policy.
They're
It's up-
supposed to come to
Well, I
the,
know that, but I just
Question.
didn't know you wanted to do that the 6th.
6,
All right.
because the appointments end on the 30th.
Mhm.
And this is a statutory appointment, so they end on the 30th. They don't continue on until
It doesn't roll over.
they
Yeah.
don't go over. No.
I would just like to add that they can be present electronically. I do not want to force anyone to go and be at a physical meeting under the circumstances.
I agree with you, Fran.
Any other comments? I have one. Is it going to be necessary that these people be present for this interview? If not, they choose not to, they will not be considered. Is that how this is going to work?
It's their choice.
I believe our policy is to interview the people. If they do not give us if they do not choose to be interviewed, it then becomes our choice again.
Yep.
Yep.
That's
So,
why we have policy.
and
And we made the appointment application policy.
Mhm.
I would prefer to hear from the candidates,
I would too.
So
whether by phone,
Yeah.
I mean, they can call in. They can be on the way we are now.
Mhm.
But in some manner, I would like to interview them.
So if Charlie has email addresses for everybody, he can send them out a reminder that we will be doing this on our April 6th meeting.
Mhm.
Okay?
Everyone?
Mhm.
Okay.
All right.
Jerry?
Another select board item. Again, I would like to strongly encourage everyone to join these meetings electronically. This virus is no joke. On a personal note, my grandchildren's other grandmother died very quickly last night. And that is, a real call out to me. She was a little bit older than I, but
Yeah.
in a vulnerable population, and some of us here are in that population. Some of us are more vulnerable than others. So, I strongly encourage less face-to-face meeting. There's no way you guys can be 6 feet apart in that conference room. And I understand the desire to be there physically. I would prefer to be there physically, but this virus is no joke, and it's far from over. New Hampshire is blessedly spared the pain that New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts. My daughter is a healthcare worker in Massachusetts, works at a hospital that's loaded with COVID. So I worry every day for her safety.
Mhm.
And I, encourage all of you, all of our townspeople to take care of yourselves and stay safe. And let's hope that this is over soon.
I'm only here because I couldn't connect. So I don't know. Should we have a test run? Maybe 10 minutes before the meeting
Yeah.
starts to make
Yeah.
our next meeting to make sure we can all get online.
Yeah.
I think
I
there
mean,
was
I can-
probably a problem with the meeting itself, Charlie. When you rescheduled it, it came on fine.
I
So,
agree.
but
Yeah,
a test thing is fine.
Yeah. We're bumpy at the beginning, but we got it. We've been on what, an hour now? So
Yeah.
we got it up and running. So
Yeah.
I
There's a
got,
difference in bandwidth
could be.
between the
Yeah.
utility building
Hmm.
and the town office.
But there is phone capability. There was a phone number provided, so people can certainly call in. There's a chat feature. People can pose questions. I would challenge Eli to work with Charlie and work out all of those technical details. We don't want to shut anybody's voice off. People have a right to, and hopefully we'll get even more participation if people can sit at home and pose a question on the chat line. So we need to make this work.
Any other?
I have a select board item.
Sure. Mr. Lyford.
I'd like to just have a quick discussion on the financial situation that people are in and the budget and what we're actually going to have for revenues and how we should look at moving forward at this point.
Mr. Lyford, you stole my thunder.
I don't think we know.
I don't think we know either. We need Patsy to keep us apprised of the income, but
Well, NHMA put out a very good directive today with lots of link. I believe it came from, I got it from Martine through my land use email.
Yep.
And I did share it with Charlie. It looks like NHMA is really on top of trying to figure out how towns are going to go forward during this situation. There's still an awful lot of unknowns. We just had tonight, waivers that somebody's asking for a waiver. I'm sure we're going to be seeing more. It's going to be very difficult for us to try to manage these if we get too many. I think we just have to take it day by day. I honestly don't see how we're going to be able at this point to project any
It's real-
revenue.
It would be really difficult to project the amount of income that the town will have. We just don't know what's going to be coming in.
Right.
And
So
and we
we've
don't know,
asked Charlie and Patsy to keep us updated whenever they get new information, and it's just a topic we need to keep our eyes on. And thank Jamie for bringing it up, and Eli for you thinking about bringing it up, because clearly it's a topic we need to be very much aware of.
I don't know how this is impacting other people in town, because I've only communicated with a very, very small group of people.
Yeah.
And most of us are retired, and it's not affecting us the same way that maybe a younger, younger families with children, or how, if they're still working. And I just don't know any people in that age bracket that have
This is
had any
affecting,
concerns with me about how this is affecting them.
take a look at the number of restaurants that are really closed.
Mhm.
I don't care. You can say, well, gee whiz, we can order for pickup. We have the Common Man that's open, and Burger King.
Burger King's open.
The governor just shut down Dunkin' Donuts all
Oh,
over the state.
Wow.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
It was on Facebook, so that's the only reason.
That's what it is. Things change hourly.
Hourly.
You can go on Facebook and you see
Yeah.
certain things.
I mean, I believe there's a cutoff date, but
Yeah. So we're in constant flux.
we don't know. We don't know what the cash flow is going to be.
We don't.
Eli, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, Mr. Lyford, what is your motion?
I'd like to, give me a minute to word it. I'd like to put a freeze on the budget
Okay.
till May 4th for only essential needed purchases. And then we'll review it on May 4th to see how the economy is and the situation and go from there.
I'll second that.
Charlie, you have any comments on that?
Charlie, I discussed this with you last week. I
Mhm.
said a hiring and spending freeze.
Haven't gotten there yet.
Well, because,
Did you want to continue your motion?
okay, and we're in default too.
Can it be in
Two-
two motions?
You want two motions?
Yeah, let's vote on this motion
Okay.
or discuss, and then I'll do another one.
I mean, for a month, we should probably, for something like that, we should probably be good. A lot of our big purchases come from capital reserve funds more than anything else. And like I said, for a month, when it comes to anything really big.
And it's difficult for us to repurpose
Mm-hmm.
those capital reserve funds.
Mhm.
They can't be
No, it should
repurposed.
be.
You need that's 2/3
We would need a town vote.
town vote.
I think a month is more than reasonable to be able to tighten our belt a little bit. We have a better view of what the situation is going to present like.
I think the worst is yet to come as far as revenue.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, it really depends on if whether or not people are going to be able to pay their taxes. The revenue side that we receive from the state aid, in the email that I received from New Hampshire Municipal Association when they had this conference call today, the federal legislation that was passed, they're going to give each state $1.25 billion.
It didn't tag
But-
municipalities.
We don't know if they're going to kick the can down the road, so to speak. The state estimates their budget to be about $2.5 billion, and the thought is that 1.25 was going to slide in for any shortfall. The meals and rooms tax, that is from last year. That's supposed to be budgeted, but they have a furlough of 40% that
they can have a little bit of
It was-
discretion there, so to speak, on whether or not they pay the towns. So I think that next year we would see a little bit of a hit with the meals and rooms tax, but any shortfall that they have in their revenue, the state aid grants, that's where they can change things. The state aid grant, that's the block grant, that's the grant we got for water and sewer years ago. That's how we pay our debt service.
It might affect Craig getting his truck in July.
Could, because the new fiscal year for the states starts in July.
You ordered it. Yeah.
So all
Yeah.
collectively speaking, my concerns are we don't know what's going to happen in October and November. It's just hard to predict.
They
It's really
even
hard.
noted that the unanticipated funds that we accepted in December, the next year,
The shared revenue.
the shared revenue that
Yeah.
may be used elsewhere.
Yeah. So that was, she's talking about legislation that passed last year. Since they sent it passed last year, it was unanticipated last year, but being that it's 2 year, it's considered shared revenue this year.
Yes.
And us being a small town, we're kind of low on the ladder here. A lot of the aid does go to the biggest cities: Dover, Portsmouth, Nashua, Manchester. We're just kind of a blip on the radar. And all we can do is hope our legislators push to make sure that if there's funds available, that we get our fair share too. But that's all in flux.
I don't know. You two have any comments?
Well, I do. If you're gonna hold the budget, that means, and when Jamie is well aware, Public Works is very active in the spring and through the summer. So I have drains to suck out. We buy gravel, lots of gravel in the spring.
Hold on. Can you guys hear Craig?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we buy lots of gravel right now and cold patch. I can see big road projects, but if you want me to hold everything, then we can sweep the floors and wash the trucks if you want.
What are you considering?
Because
Stuff that's not budgeted for that might just come up?
And Jamie knows everything that we buy is
Yeah.
pretty pricey.
Yeah.
I don't spend $300 when I do gravel, I spend $3,000.
No. 5.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
mean,
built
in the
to-
drains,
to
when I have the
build
drains sucked out by the company, it's, that's expensive. The road sweeping, yeah, I can put it off and not do it. If you want, we can.
I think we have to
Let
have a
the rain do it.
we have to have a dialogue. Because we're on
But it's-
default budget. We haven't even
Yeah.
started to address the fact that we're
Right.
working
So
in
if you're gonna
default.
make a vote, just remember what you're voting on and,
just for a month, correct, Jamie? Was
Yeah.
your,
For now, yes,
Yeah.
but
Right.
gravel's a needed product.
so just.
I'm just looking
Yeah.
for,
like fertilizing the ball field,
Yeah.
something like that?
Yeah, so
or,
just make sure you spell it out with your vote, and if it's gonna restrict me, then I just need to know how.
Yeah.
And
Charlie can make those decisions, but
well, that's fine.
I just want
Yeah.
to make it so we're not buying stuff that we may be able to wait a little bit for.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
That's perfect.
Well,
Yeah.
okay.
And Charlie, I would certainly trust you to have these conversations with Craig and whomever to decide what's necessary. We certainly don't want the roads to deteriorate.
No,
No.
we don't want to micromanage.
No.
We want you to have
My
a
stuff is all maintenance.
yeah.
It's not
dialogue
gonna-
with Charlie, and Charlie shares it with us.
A month wouldn't hurt too much. It's just scheduling it after a month. I
That's
may
right.
not ever get it in the schedule.
Yeah.
if I-
I believe that we should leave the decision of how the money is spent. Charlie has what we believe a month of austerity. I don't think that we need to make a motion to tell him that he has to watch his pennies. And he needs to manage the people and make careful decisions.
Charlie is the manager.
Yeah.
So
So I think what Jamie's saying here is,
I-
look, if you
yes.
can, if you can put it off,
Yep.
let's just try to put
Yep.
it off for a
Yep.
little bit till
Yep.
we get through this.
No,
Well, that's what you would do.
because I had that,
Right.
I said that to you last week, that maybe we should entertain this, so, I don't see any, I think it's very prudent to go forward cautiously.
Uh,
What happens in a month?
Okay, then we would be reviewing this again once again on May 4th.
Right.
What do you, Jamie?
I would put a time in there that May 4th is
Review time?
review time.
Do you still want, we still want to do it by motion? Or
I
just,
agree with Eli. I don't think we need the motion. I think we're all on the
Sense
same
it.
page in terms of, Charlie managing the money appropriately, given the concerns we have about the budget.
Okay,
All right.
Jamie, do you withdraw your motion?
I withdraw my motion.
Kathleen, I believe it was Kathleen, are you going
I'll
to
withdraw
read?
my second, yes.
Yes. Okay, but the consensus of the group assembled is that,
Do we have to do this by roll call, even though it's consensus?
No, I'll just put it in the minutes.
Okay.
I got it.
We all agreed and,
Yeah.
okay.
okay,
Eli, may I make a comment?
the motion needs a second, but yeah, Jamie,
Just,
go ahead.
I'm speaking in regards to utilities. Obviously, electric is going to have to spend some money to get up and going. We have an ongoing septic receiving project that's not completed yet, so it has, we have to look at it, but I would not want to hinder any of those departments by having a total quote spending freeze.
That's why we have overview by Mr. Smith.
Right.
That is correct.
I don't think we're talking about a total spending freeze.
No.
No, I know, but I'm just trying to put it out there as a reminder of how sometimes we forget a couple of those.
Department
They
heads,
don't have to be done, but if they're not brought up at the time, is what I'm trying to do. Thank you.
department heads need to justify their spending
Mhm.
or what they want to spend.
Mhm.
Okay. Anything else? Have I closed the loop on?
Believe so.
Okay. What's next? Anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
Well, does Charlie have anything else that he wants to?
Keep sending those emails.
Yeah, I will. Yep.
Okay. Anybody have anything else they want to talk about?
I'd like to apologize, everyone, for my haircut. I could not get one, and my wife really did a number on my.
You're in the shade. I can hardly see it.
Because if you start here, it looks pretty messy for him.
Yeah.
Well, it's a little,
Oh, yeah.
oh, there it is, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Haircuts, we bought clippers, and I was like, "Yeah, you should have went size 6,
No,
not 5."
No, you go.
Well,
Oh, yeah, see, I couldn't pull that off, Jamie.
thank you for saying that, Charlie. It was
We hadn't noticed.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Charlie, by the way, folks, Charlie has hair.
yeah. I'm thankful for it. And,
It grows, Charlie.
Any other business before the board? Hearing none, I'll accept a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion to adjourn at, what's the clock? You don't have the clock in here anymore.
6:52.
6:52. I like these early meetings.
Yes,
Mhm.
Thank you. Now, one thing I do want to say is we've had more discussion tonight than we have had in a long time.
I don't agree
What?
with that.
I want to thank you all for participating.
Eli, you're just a little more chat. You seem to be more comfortable in front of a computer screen.
I don't have to look at you.
There you go. So we are adjourned?
We're adjourned.
Okay.